It is SOT with you and me, and we get to talk about stuff. We absolutely get to talk about stuff. And there's a lot to get into on a couple different fronts. Evening, D. Graham. And we got to get into what happened this afternoon, or on two elements. We need to get into the action that happened and the action that's going to be happening tomorrow, plus the news that has come out over the last couple of hours. So shenanigans are going to kind of get put on hold a little bit. And it was a heck of a bombshell that came through this afternoon on reports. So it is officially being reported that, it looks like Pep Guardiola is done. He's done at Manchester City. Someone, and like I said, you can take this video however you want. There was video that was allegedly shot inside the Etihad earlier today. You see the video of the dude with the phone, and it was one of those situations where you look at a piece of video and you're going, okay, someone is going in and around a bunch of trophies that were assembled in center circle. And the assumption is that was Pep and a farewell video. So it was that idea that came about. So you think that was it. It might be. And it's like I said, it's out there. Was this, in fact, that farewell video being taped? But like I said, when you have video of somebody going like this with a phone through a crack in a curtain and, being what it is today, it is, it's one of those things. You got to piece it together. And so now you are in this idea where it was what? In Guardiola with 20 titles, and now it has kind of trickled out after this season. Is he or is he not? And apparently, according to David Ornstein, Sam Lee et al., he's going to leave his role as Manchester City manager this summer. It looks like Enzo Maresca is going to replace. And right now, according to Ornstein and Lee, and this came out 2 hours ago, departing at the end of the season where you've won a double, 20th major trophy in 10 years. Maresca expected to take over 4 months after leaving Chelsea. Athletic, and this is from Ornstein, Athletic revealed December Maresca was high among those City was considering, among a growing sense that Guardiola would bring down, quoting Ornstein and Lee, a growing sense that Guardiola would bring the curtain down on a glittering decade at City. So that was what your thought pattern was starting as far back as December. So is that in fact the case? So Maresca goes to Chelsea, leaves there in January. Maresca informed Chelsea back then, twice in late October of last year, and then back into December, that he was talking to city representatives about that role. About his candidacy, if I could get the word out for that role. So you have now Guardiola's contract supposed to run through June of 27. He agreed to fresh terms a year and a half ago. And they wanted him to, one more year in the deal, always hopeful he would stay. Bournemouth tomorrow, Villa on decision day, final matches, 6 Premier League titles, first Champions League back in 2023. Home match against Villa, if they can win and Arsenal loses, would be the last of his tenure as city manager. Didn't want to answer any questions after the FA Cup final. He said 1 more year on contract. 1 more year on contract. Have a lovely evening. So that was where that was. Rumors? Have a lovely evening. And then, of course, you also have that specter of the punishment and what is to be handed down by the Premier League. And so you wonder about the breaches and what happens there. Cities denied the allegations. Shiki Begiristan, who is the head of a director of football, left the club at the end of last season. Sporting CP out of Portugal, Hugo Viana, was subsequently announced as a replacement. You have all of this that is going on. Pep said at the time everything was starting to happen. And, you're wondering if it was going to, it was going to break down from there. Refused to confirm it outright when everything started breaking back in December. He says he still enjoys it. Still much better than last season, but not the team we should be. It requires time. Hopefully next season and the end of this season we can do it. So now that is the rundown at the moment. Left to join Chelsea summer of 24 after he went to go to Leicester, led them to being promoted. So he goes from Manchester City to Leicester City, gets them promoted, goes from Leicester to Chelsea, didn't last. Chelsea got Champions League qualifications, won Conference League and Club World Cup in his first year. But then, of course, the second year being the second year. And to be perfectly honest on that side note, I still don't think that Xabi Alonso is going to fulfill every 4 years of that deal. So now you have all of that is now hanging over. After all of the notes about Maresca and the discussions about Manchester City, then he goes away. They bring in Liam Rosenior. That doesn't go well. And now you're bringing in Xabi Alonso. Like I said, it's a 4-year deal. I don't quite think he's going to make it to 2. That's just me. So you're looking at possible legacy. You're looking at this weekend, all of the things. All of the things that could be happening involving Pep Guardiola and the future therein. So you have a lot of folks who are actually sitting here saying, yeah, it's time. It's time. It is definitely time, at least in the eyes of some folks. So, leaving is the idea. 10 seasons, 20 trophies, 400 wins. May as well just go ahead and build the statue now. And that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, so literally if you go on 3, 7, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. So yeah, it's like I'm looking at that the bootleg video. So it's 10. And like I said, it is let's see, 4, 8, 9, 11, 14, 18. So there's like 18 trophies in center circle at the Etihad, and someone has pulled back a curtain. They're shooting video and all these things. So anyway, so it is a notion right now. Preparing for his exit, according to the BBC. Expected to leave at the end of the year. City currently aren't commenting. Work is and of the anticipated exit underway. Understood members of the squad are also anticipating his departure after the Villa match this weekend. And City have turned their attentions toward how to best mark the tenure of their iconic boss. So that is what you're looking at when it comes to the big story involving the big story involving Pep Guardiola. And that came out what? A couple hours ago. And so now you have that leading into all of the discussions heading into tomorrow's match, which is the last makeup game in this entire sequence that Manchester City was mad about in the first place. And so you now have this matchup tomorrow, Bournemouth and Manchester City. It is at the Vitality, and it's at 2:30. So just to keep you posted on what it looks like in the table right now. This is the makeup game. At this very moment, as you and I are having this discussion, at this very moment, 5 points behind, match in hand. Decision day for Arsenal is with Crystal Palace. Happy to be here, FC. Oliver Glasner hates them. So there might be some motivation there. There might be some motivation just to have a kickabout. But Manchester City, needs the win. And right now, both teams are tied in goal difference. So the win over Burnley today, 1-0, does not help matters out much. 1-0 win. Arsenal, 82 points. Decision day to go. Goal difference of 43. Manchester City, tomorrow with Bournemouth, must win to keep the pace. And they've only given up 32 goals, goal difference of 43. So in theory, tomorrow, if Manchester City wins, they will be 2 points behind with a final match at home where you do not anticipate a large win. At least I wouldn't anyway. So you're going to have to get your numbers tomorrow, because if Crystal Palace is going to make life hell for Arsenal on decision day, Manchester City's got to get all of their notes hit tomorrow in the matchup against Bournemouth. Easier said than done, but once again, Andoni Iraola is on his way out the door. So you have all of these things in play tomorrow. All these things in play. So that is the big rundown of anything and everything. Juice boxes, by the way, just so you have them. Arsenal won today at a minus 833. Burnley, great effort by them. They were a plus 2,500. Tomorrow, Manchester City, a modest minus 147 on the road at Bournemouth, who's a plus 375. Chelsea, favored at home at a minus 111. Spurs is a plus 300. Draw, by the way, is a plus 275. Crystal Palace is at home at Selhurst Park on decision day next Sunday. Arsenal, big favorite on the road heading into Selhurst Park. Manchester City, a big favorite at home as Villa comes to visit. Villa, by the way, is a plus 750 on the weekend. Manchester City at home in the Guardiola alleged finale is a minus 303. And so what we also found out was that with the standings currently as they are, it is now going to be 8 deep when it comes to European football. Arsenal, once again, Arsenal, Manchester City, that we know. So Manchester United, 68 points. They're going to finish third. Villa has hit each column once in their last 3. They're at 62 points. If you anticipate nothing happening, they could drop to 5th. They're still in Europe next year. Liverpool has a better goal difference with 1 match to go. They would have identical records. Liverpool would have more goals scored and a better goal difference, even though they go into their match on the weekend having lost 2 of 3, and they play Brentford, who has something to play for because of the chaos that we're going to get to in a second. Because of Villa winning Europa, now you have 5 teams, once again, 5 teams because of the coefficient heading into European play next year. But because Villa has already qualified, that means that you go down 1 more spot, and it is now a battle among Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, Sunderland, Chelsea, Newcastle, Everton, Fulham. Because let's be somewhat numerically realistic here. Bournemouth's at 55 points. They have won 4 of their last 5. They're unbeaten in 5. But once again, they're at 50. So Bournemouth's at 55 points. They're currently in 6th. That sets them up for Europa. Bournemouth on decision day. Once again, they'll be down the line. But once again, their next match is the match in hand against Manchester City. Then they get to figure out where they are heading into decision day. Brighton, 1 match left. Manchester United, they've lost 2 of 3. They're at 53 points. They currently sit in that 2nd Europa League spot. Brentford is in the Conference League spot, and they've got Liverpool on decision day at 52 points. Behind them, Sunderland's at 51. Sunderland has Chelsea at the Stadium of Light, 9 and 10. Chelsea has a far superior goal difference, but they're 2 points behind, which creates the chaos at 49 points. Chelsea, 49 points, better goal difference. Newcastle, 49 points, better goal difference. Everton, 49 points, better goal difference. Fulham, 49 points, better goal difference. That gets you from 8 to 13, separated by 3 points, 1 win, math and help, to figure out who's going to be that 8th spot going into Conference League next year. Leeds is safe at 14. Crystal Palace is safe at 15. Forest is there at 16. Then you get to the bottom. Spurs, once again, decision day, they have the match tomorrow against Chelsea at 3:15. So they've got to figure that one out. They get any kind of a point, basically they're in, and West Ham will get relegated because unless West Ham can make up a 13-point goal difference in the matchup against Leeds on decision day, West Ham is going down. So that's what you're at. So that's where you're at with all of this. So literally that is decision day. You've got action heading into Europe. You've got action at the top. You've got action going into Europe. You've got action at the bottom. That is the chaos that is attached to the Premier League heading into tomorrow with the alleged possible probable announcement of Pep Guardiola being done and just getting a rest before he goes and coaches NYCFC. Then you end up with decision day after tomorrow. Win, keep winning. You go into decision day. You need to win, and you need to better the result. And then Arsenal on decision day needs to either draw to Crystal Palace or lose to Crystal Palace for Manchester City to get title 21 for Pep Guardiola. So you've got that tomorrow/Sunday. And I don't quite know what the broadcast plans are yet, but I imagine they're out there. So that's just one league. But when one of the greatest of all time apparently is hanging them up, that's where you go. That's the lead. 20 minutes in, we spent 20 minutes on Pep Guardiola. I'm not surprised. Not surprised a bit. So that is the early rundown of what's going on here over there. What else is going on? Well, we got to talk about Scotland. We got to talk about all the national teams that were named today. There's stuff going on with ethics and at FIFA. We do have to talk about Lamine Yamal, Cabo Verde, DR Congo, Croatia, Georgia Stanway. Portugal's team was named. Argentina, Brazil, and the chaos that was attached to the Brazilian squad announcement. Literally, you'll see the pictures, and you see Ancelotti going like this. He's got the magic envelope, and everybody's wondering, well, what about these guys? And what about these guys? And Ancelotti's got the envelope at the presentation. He's there like this. So you got that. So a lot of national teams got their names out there today. So we'll go over those, and we'll go over the greatest hits. Canada's got some injury problems at center back with Kamal Miller and Lafougerol. So now you're trying to figure out what that's going to look like at the back, which is going to create some problems. Like I said, we do have ethics issues at FIFA, and then with Martin O'Neill. So that's all of the things. That is all the things that are going on involving the SOT. And then we also have to get into picks of the week. And I'll go ahead and tell you right now with picks of the week when we get there, I was not very good. I had a minus 310 on the week. Missed the first 6, got the last 2. Wasn't bad when it came to the tiebreaker. But we'll get into that as well. So, greatest hits. CJ Dos Santos. It was just announced by San Diego FC. San Diego FC. It was one of those that was in there. It's a one-time switch. CJ Dos Santos now has switched to Cabo Verde, and he is part of their national team call-up. So that was an interesting note from San Diego FC. That was a note from them. Curacao named their team for Dick Advocat. Then also you had a few other names that were tossed about and some other national teams that were announced. So we'll roll through those just to let you know what was going on. And do you really? And come to think about it, do you want to be the guy that? Do you want to be Enzo Maresca? I mean, I know you want to be to take over for Manchester City, but do you want to? Do you want to be the guy that replaces the legend? That's the question we find out in college football a lot. Brazil named their World Cup squad. People were crying in the streets when Neymar was named to the squad. You knew Neymar was going to get named to the squad, even with the shenanigans involving the substitution where the name was written and the fourth substituted the wrong guy. 79 goals, 128 appearances for Brazil, hasn't featured since 2023. It's his last ride. The last 18 months at Santos, named at Carlo Ancelotti's 26-man list. João Pedro is the most significant exclusion. Andre Santos and Richarlison also missed out. Igor Thiago and Endrick in. Ryan, the 19-year-old, interesting, according to our friends at The Athletic. Lucas Paquetá is breathing a sigh of relief probably as well. Vasco da Gama to Bournemouth, and so Ryan is in. Rodrigo, Real Madrid winger, ruled out earlier in the year after rupturing an ACL. Eder Militao, also sidelined with a knee issue. Esteval failed to recover from a hamstring injury, playing for Chelsea back in April. Now, Ancelotti's going to have to probably redo his front line. And so now, fullback, Douglas Santos of Zenit, Alexandro in reserve, Wesley, Ibanez, Danilo. And they have matches against, they have a match against Panama at the Maracanã, Egypt and Cleveland as a part of that Road to 26 thing that's going on here in the States. That includes Life in the Messy Sea, where it just means Moss, as Argentina goes to Auburn. And then you have, on the 13th, their opening fixture against Morocco in the Meadowlands. Alisson, Ederson, Weverton, Alexandro, Bremer, Danilo, Douglas Santos, Gabriel, Ibanez, Pereira, Marquinhos, Wesley. Midfielders, Guimaraes, Casemiro, Danilo, Fabinho, Paquetá. Forwards, Endrick, Martinelli, Igor Thiago, Luis Enrique, with an H, Zenit, Mateus Cunha, Neymar, Rafinha, Ryan, Vinicius Jr. So those were your sides that were named on the Brazil national team. 2 attacking slots left open for Canada to keep an eye out on those. Where's my headlines? Where's my headlines that I had? Let's see. No, that wasn't it. Those weren't them. Those were not them, I say. So you've got then the Tahith Chong and the Bacuna brothers are a part of Curacao. Marko Arnautovic and Chukwuemeka included in the Austria World Cup squad. You have, let's see, so there were a bunch of other names that were put on the board today. And no, what if I just do like soccer? Because you had DR Congo named, Croatia named, Cabo Verde named, and Argentina and Brazil. Argentina named theirs a couple days ago. So that's kind of what you're staring at involving national teams. So hang on just a second. I will let you see if I can figure out where I put all my notes. So, all right. So Argentina, that's the beach soccer listing. I don't need that one. I need like the team listing. Currently a conflict, according to some folks at the Albiceleste talk, going on between Como and the Argentine national team regarding Nico Paz's injury. Como wants Nico Paz to play in the last Serie A match of the year. Argentina want to prevent him from playing because they fear the injury could get worse and rule him out of the World Cup. Argentina is sending a doctor to Como's facilities in the upcoming hours to review the medical reports to try to speak with the club's medical staff and to Nico Paz himself. So you've got all of that to look into. Sub-16, I don't need that. So the 55-man preliminary, Emi Martinez, Walter Benitez, Cambeses, and Beltran, defenders in the preliminary. Oh, wait a second. So there's more than this. Come on now. There was one that was closer than that 55-man. And Thiago Almada, by the way, he was on it. I know that that's no real surprise to anyone. So as I'm sitting here trying to find the silly thing, I can't find the silly thing. Okay, anyway. So we know about the Brazil listing. Brazil, by the way, has chosen Columbia Park as their base camp training site used by Red Bull and opened by Jurgen Klopp earlier this year. So that's the direction that they are going to go. So Argentina. No, I don't want Argentina casting. If I could spell Argentina and go, Selección. Oh, yeah, Selección Argentina. That's where we were. Okay, so Selección Argentina. And sub-16s. Don't need sub-16. Don't need sub-15. Don't need beach. Don't need futsal. And this is where they're buzzing through all of their names and such. Where's the short roster? It's like all these pictures and everything. I don't want the beach thing. Anyway, I can't find it. It was in here somewhere. Unless it was. Okay, so 17th, Huracan, Everybody reaching for flags and going further back and further back. Okay. 3 times I've kind of given up on this. Okay. So you had Croatia, DR Congo, Cabo Verde. They all named theirs. Curacao named theirs. And story by Martin Ziegler. And when Martin Ziegler posts something, I don't think you necessarily want to be a part of that byline. Just to kind of let everybody know what's going on. Story by Ziegler. And was to the New York Times, actually. And, of course, it's a story now that I can't read. Okay, but anyway, the tap in. So millions of dollars recovered in FIFA corruption scandal might be missing again. A South American football president subject of an ethics complaint. So we'll keep an eye out on that story as well. So that one, and Portugal. Oh, the Portugal list. Yeah, I've got to get into this Portugal list. So the Portugal list, the Portugal squad for the World Cup, here was that listing. And the squad list from 3 days ago, basically from 24, as everybody's looking at the Seleção. Eli Junior Krupi is being kept an eye on for possibility of playing for Portugal. Mother is Portuguese, could be the big surprise in Roberto Martinez squad announcement set for tomorrow. So keep an eye on possibly Junior Krupi from Bournemouth to be a part of this list. And Logan Costa made the Cabo Verde squad, missed most of the season with a cruciate ligament tear, recently returned to Villarreal. And so he's a part of it. DR Congo is in. And the main players for DR Congo squad list, Aaron Wan-Bissaka in defense, Axel Tuanzebe in defense. In the forward or the attacking position, Johan Vissa is there as well to keep an eye out for the list for DR Congo. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Portugal's list: Diego Costa, Jose Sa, Rui Silva in net. Defenders: Nuno Mendes, Dalot, Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Gonzalo Inacio, Antonio Silva, Tomas Araujo. Anticipating Vitinha, João Neves, Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Ruben Neves. Ronaldo, Leao, Neto, Conceição, Felix, Gonzalo Ramos, and Pedro Gonçalves. So you have Gonzalo Ramos and Pedro Gonçalves. So that's what you're looking at from Fabrizio Romano, as he has been buzzing through all of the names that have been attached. And of course, everyone is sitting there and looking at Polymarket and going, yeah, let's go Neymar. So no Bento, no João Pedro, no Andre Santos, no Thiago Silva for Brazil. But seriously, I don't know why you wouldn't have thought anything else, that he was going to be called up. So let's see. I'm trying to see what other squad. So Curacao and Dick Advocat, Eloy Room in net. These are just the familiar names that we know. You have Juninho and Leandro Bacuna. You have at forward Taith Chong and Jurgen Lacadia. So that's the Curacao squad. Fermin Lopez is going to miss the 26th World Cup. Sport and Mundo Deportivo are reporting surgery means he's out for 4 to 8 weeks. Croatian side, Jasko Vardiol in defense, Stanisic, Pongrasic, Luka Modric, Mateo Kovacic, Pasalic. You got, in an attack, you have Perisic, Kramaric, Budimir, Marco Pasalic, not to be confused with Mario Pasalic. Peter Musa gets the call from FC Dallas, and that's your Croatia list. And it was a fracture of the 5th metatarsal, by the way, of the right foot, undergoing surgery. Hansi Flick signs a new deal with Barcelona. Gets to keep Joao Cancelo. Steve Holland has signed a new deal at Manchester United to keep Michael Carrick in place, as well to help out with reinforcements. Hansi Flick also admits, though, it is not going to be easy to replace Robert Lewandowski. Now, let's get into other action from the weekend. And I know that a lot of folks might have been looking at what we were wondering was going to happen in Scotland when it came to the end of their regular season. And it was fairly simple. If there was an opportunity for Celtic to, I guess, pip was the right word, pip the championship, they'd have to beat Hearts to do it. And they did. And the Hearts players and those photographs of them when they arrived back at their home base, absolutely just crestfallen. And with the support that they had there for the fans, first chance in 60 years to get a title, first chance in 22 for someone not named Celtic or Rangers to get a title. And so you end up with, at the end of it all, it was a 3-1 win for Celtic. And considering the season that they went through, it was an adventure to say the very least. Started with Brendan Rodgers, went to Wilfred Nancy. Then actually it went from Brendan Rodgers, Martin O'Neill, Wilfred Nancy, Martin O'Neill, and that was what got you through. So in this season of seasons, you have what went down in the end of the match in the Scottish Premiership. So when the match was ending, and literally it was 2-1, everybody forward, and literally you end up with an empty netter, like we would say in ice hockey. You would end up with an empty netter at the end, 3-1, fans storm the field, and so then you have all the chaos that follows. So then Martin O'Neill, and this is from our friends at Talk Sport. So Martin O'Neill had a tete-a-tete with Jim White on the air, where Jim White was trying to take Martin O'Neill to task over the fans rushing at Celtic Park when it was assured, but it wasn't over. When it was 3-1, literally it was in the waning moments. So the decision, not in doubt, Celtic's going to win. Final score is going to be 3-1. Fans storm the pitch. And the scenes were ugly. So Martin O'Neill gets the chance to catch up with Jim White on their, I think White and Jordan is their morning talk show. And he goes and describes Hart's frustrations as nonsense. Literally, that was the word that he used, was nonsense. So it was Jim White and it was Martin O'Neill. Oh, this is interesting. So I got to figure out how to do this, and I got to do it blind. So this will be intriguing. All right, so desktop. And I have no clue as to what I'm going to be staring at here. This is going to be crazy. Is it this one? I think it's this one. I think that's it. I think if I read it properly. See, my screen has fritzed on me, and I'm trying to see if I've loaded the right thing or not. And so literally it is me trying to find a file, and because if I reload, then everything goes off the air. So I don't know what happened where everything ended up getting shorted, but the edge of the screen is no longer the edge of the screen. So this is going to be an adventure. So hang on. All right. So if I'm trying to upload, and if I do it in a straight line, so that's not it. That's not it. So it is desktop, and I'm trying to find the file, and this is the craziest thing, is that I'm going to have to do the rest of the show like this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, all right, so it's not that one. And I'm hoping, literally, that I've got the right file name. So it's not that one, not that one, not that one. And is it this one? I'm trying to stare at something and it is through a completely and totally condensed, fritzed out screen. No, it's not that one. So I think it's the one before that one. So it might be this one. Yeah, it's not the triple play. It's not the triple post. Oh, it's not Tata either. So I've got to keep going. And is it this one? All right. So if that is that and this is this, let me go here. And I'm trying. Literally, my screen is completely and totally fritzed out on me. And I think that's taking entirely too long for a file that is only 1 minute and 53 seconds. That's taking entirely too long because it is not that one. It's not that one. So it would have been the one before it. And no, that ain't it. Hello, OG. Yes, and I'm glad that you made it back from Orlando. Okay, so as David says, sausage, sausage, sausage. That's what's going on here. I'm trying to find a soundbite through a fritzed out screen and trying to play this back and forth that Martin O'Neill had with Jim White on the air. What did I label it as? What did I label this as? All right, so here. How long is this file? Is this the file in question? Yes. Okay, so this is the file in question. So if I was to export this as this, so I go this way, then I can label it however I want. I know it's going to be the last file. And so what I'm doing, since I can't see what I'm doing, is I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to pull this off. Okay, so it's this file. Literally, I'm trying to figure out how I'm supposed to. Oh, wow, it froze it at 5:53. That's crazy. Okay. All right, so here is, I believe, the exchange involving Jim White from TalkSport and Martin O'Neill, where Martin O'Neill was basically huffing and puffing about what happened at the end of Celtic and Hearts. Wasn't nothing. So let's see if this is the right file. Let's see if I can actually work an end around to play the file that I'm trying to play. Here is, well, wait a second. Did I EQ it? That might be the other thing. Hang on just a second. So, well, and here I go with all of this setup, and I don't know if I did it right. So if we go here, effect, amplify. No, okay, so it is the right one. Okay, good deal. All right, so without any further ado or teasing, here is the interview, I think. So if it ends up being the wrong one, I'll just hit stop.
Fancy going on went on.
Yeah. Was there not a scene at Ibrox where both sets of fans came onto the pitch?
And we called that out as well, okay. Martin.
Yeah. All right. Well done. Well, I'll tell you what to do. Let me have a look at the picture. Let me have a look as if I was judge and jury of these particular things. But let me see the scenes at the end of the day, and then I'll come back to you. Okay.
That's fair enough, Martin. That's fair enough. What would you say about Hearts Challenge, Martin? Because my God, they took it all the way, didn't they?
I thought it was fantastic, and that is the reason that there was serious interest in the SPL for the last couple of months because of what Hearts were doing.
Nonetheless, sad that they opted to leave the stadium in their kit. Some of the Hearts players in tears as they headed to the bus.
That's their prerogative.
Yeah,
I might have done the same thing.
So how do you feel about the cup final?
I'm looking forward to it immensely.
Can I ask you one last question, which you'll be delighted by? If you'd have had a penalty awarded against you, that was awarded against Motherwell, you'd have gone berserk, wouldn't you?
I probably wouldn't have been happy, but I'll tell you something now. It's a clear-cut penalty in today's rules. In today's rules, it's clear-cut. No one wants to see that. That's for FIFA or UEFA to have a look in the summertime and readjust the rules. It's the rules are ridiculous. The soft penalties been given right, left, and centre. One given in the semi-final of the Champions League, which looked ridiculous. At the end of it, all soft. But by the letter of the law in today's game, that's a penalty because he's handled the ball.
Okay, well, I think 90% of the planet would probably agree to disagree with Martin O'Neill and his thoughts on the whole thing. And leaving in their kit, that's their prerogative. I'm a firm believer in karma. And I'll tell you right now, there will be a day, I don't know when, but everything that Martin O'Neill had in that interview with White and Jordan, there will be a day where it will come around. I would disagree with him on the assessment of the penalty in the Motherwell match the week before. And I think Bart would too. And the idea of, I'll look at the film, which he won't. And when Hearts players are coming off the pitch, basically grabbing their ribs because they told authorities that they'd basically been assaulted because everybody came on the pitch to celebrate. So, yeah, that's their prerogative to leave in their kits. They were so, whatever. There's going to be a day where it's going to come around for Martin O'Neill. Don't know when, don't know how, but it's going to come around. And when it happens, I would hope that that he understands the gravity of the situation that happened in front of him, the way that it did. So that's as far as I'm going to go here. I think Martin O'Neill in that back and forth. And did you notice how Jim White would go question about what he wanted to talk about? Then he'd go to a toss-off question. Literally, Jim White was going clutch, and he was going clutch and break. He was working the stick shift here. It was hard question that he knew was going to get Martin O'Neill angry, back and forth that was getting him angry. Then you go and dial off another question. And then that's why you have Simon Jordan also there as the foil in all of this. So Jim White against a not so happy Martin O'Neill. You see him going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and not just a straight line of questioning about what he thought about the match, what he thought about Hearts, what he thought about the pitch invasion, all those things. He ducked in and ducked out. Martin O'Neill still exposed what his thoughts were on the whole process. And obviously, since it was such a troubling season that Celtic went through, and like I said, and I know that Jarrett's radar is up and running on this one. And Jarrett made this point in our post-match discussion that he feels that with what happened, he is not literally, you're sitting on a $100 million chest that you can invest should you see fit. Jarrett is of the impression that they probably will not. Considering, we got through this and we got through Wilfred Nancy and we got Martin O'Neill and everything's fine and we won the league and all these things. We outlasted Hearts. Everything's cool. Jarrett is of the thought that they will not reinvest. They will not continue to be investing. And so that will be the next stage of Celtic in all of their, how do we phrase? In all of their glory. We'll go ahead and use that word. So Jarrett is not anticipating a successful summer investment with folks who are leaving to get replaced. He still wants Dyson Maeda to be here with Atlanta United. I can't blame him. But Martin O'Neill, with those comments that he said, basically, you know where he stands. And I'm not a fan of what he said. I could say other things. But there will be a day. There will be a day for Martin O'Neill. Like I said, I don't know when and I don't know how, but there will be a day. So we'll get into so Martin O'Neill, you, sir, your karma is on the clock. Your karma is on the clock, sir. And when that day happens, when that day happens, sir, we will be keeping an eye on it, and we will let you know. We definitely will let you know what the situation is involving your past, sir, and your thoughts in the present. So that is the that is the like I said, that's my thoughts right there, and I'm just going to leave them right there, and that's just going to be how I'm going to say it. So, all right. I'm going to go over another quick couple of things. Let me see if I missed any headlines or anything like that need to be discussed before we get into picks of the week. And when we get into picks of the week, telegraph.co.uk. Let me see if is that going to give it to me? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. And the Telegraph, Pep Guardiola's messy exit of distraction. Man City can ill afford. I don't know how this is messy, but sure, okay, fine. Keep an eye on all of that. Sure, why not? All right. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else missing. TNT Sports in Europe, not the TNT that we know here, scrapping free-to-air Champions League final after losing the TV rights. And once again, there was when we had cards and calls this morning with Bart, we got into the Mbumo handball call. Howard Webb apparently now also disagrees with Bart. You can go back and listen to that segment on the air. Back in the archive. Celtic has apologized to Hearts, by the way, even with Martin O'Neill saying what he said. Martin O'Neill saying what he said. Celtic apologized to Hearts after 14 were arrested in the scenes that were there when the match was over. In France, by the way. In France. Yes, D. Grant, yes. Georgia Stanway to Arsenal's women. And that was, I also had that here on my list. Ben Jacobs, Georgia Stanway. I had that here. You're reading my notes. So Harbert to San Diego Wave. So let me see in the mail if I've gotten anything from the Wave on that move. Let me see if I can figure out what mail my what's my okay, so there's CJ Dos Santos's one-time move. And let me see. Do I have San Diego FC? San Diego FC, Portland Timbers. I've got all the things. Portland Timbers Communications. And do I have San Diego? I thought I had San Diego in my emails. I thought I did. Hang on. Let me see if I have it in my rundown. Okay, it is not in that one. It is not in that one. And it's definitely not in that one because that's all my Chicago Tribune notes. All right, so that one goes by the wayside. Hang on. Oh, didn't catch it in time. Okay. All right. So the San Diego Wave, and there was no word that came out today as to when the Kat Macario move was going to happen or when she was going to become active for San Diego Wave. So obviously we'll keep an eye on that as well. So set to sign Layla Harbert, 19-year-old previously. Let's see. This is according to our friends at Yahoo. Most recently at Everton, featured just once, 5-minute cameo and a feat to Chelsea. According to Catherine Batty of The Telegraph, Harbert expected to make the move to the U.S., where she'll be managed by former Arsenal boss Jonas Eidevall. Reportedly accepted a bid from the Wave, but will have a first refusal option should the club accept. What is this with things going wrong? Seriously, what is going on here? So refusal should the club accept an offer for the midfielder in the future. So Arsenal have reportedly accepted a bid from the Wave, but will have a first refusal option should the club accept an offer for the midfielder in the future. Wave on the top of the standings with a 2-1 win over Spirit. So keep an eye on those. All right. Canada, we got into the papers. Oh, yeah, Ligue 1. I got nasty in Ligue 1. Nantes fans forced a cancellation of the matchup against Toulouse, protesting relegation under the manager, Vahid Halilhadzic. That went down. Ultras threw black smoke flares on the pitch. Match had to be suspended, called in the 23rd minute. Nantes going down. Ultras aren't happy. They all wore black on the final day. Threw black smoke flares onto the pitch. Stormed. Match was called. So it was not cool scenes at all in that match in Ligue 1 with Nantes and Toulouse. Then it was, do I have, which email is that one here? Let's see. Creating your account. You don't need to create my account. I've already got one. Okay. So, no, I don't want to play puzzles or anything like that. Literally, I sign in as me on a different laptop, and they sit there and start freaking out. Anyway, okay. So, let me see if there's anything else that popped up in the news before we head into picks of the week. And, yes, Arsenal on the brink after a nervy win over Burnley, of course. Mikel Arteta says, I'm going to be the biggest Bournemouth fan ever. Of course you are. And it looks like it's going to be a 2-year deal with Jose Mourinho and Real Madrid, but we are going to be keeping an eye out for that. So Martin O'Neill says that the claim the scenes embarrassed Scottish football are nonsense. Martin O'Neill refused to criticize fans and disagreed with criticism. Tynecastle Park Club said their players and staff reported serious physical and verbal abuse, describing them as unacceptable and disgraceful. SPFL actually came out with their own words. So Celtic did apologize, cooperating fully with the investigation. And then that was when we played you what we played. Hearts players ushered down the tunnel by club officials, pictured leaving the ground still wearing match kits, with the club saying in a strongly worded statement, the safety of our staff was our prime focus. Jambo's added after the aftermath of the third goal had embarrassed Scottish football. However, O'Neill disagreed, and that was that's what we were talking about. And he goes, I assumed after that the final whistle had gone at exactly the same moment we put the ball in the net for the third goal. It didn't. It's a home game. We just won the league. Fans have to come on the field, all right? And well, no, they don't. Okay, so they should just stay put then. Yeah, they should. Celtic added in their statement no justification for this behavior. When O'Neill was asked if fans should have come on the pitch, he again refused to call it the club supporters, adding, we'll start telling that to every single football club. Police Scotland are investigating. And so could pitch invasions be criminalized? Well, it is, it is trespassing on private property. You wanted to go that way. All right. I think we've got everything. Just remember, tomorrow you've got 2 matches that are going on, and those matches are going to be off and running as we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the matches that we've got, and we're going to work forward because it is time for the best horn section on the planet, which means only one thing. It is time for this. All right, it is time for picks of the week. We'll go over what happened last week because I have it right here in all of its mess. So here's what happened last week. Match number 1, if I could follow my numbers, Ukraine Premier League. Veres Rivny and Krivbas. Krivbas won it 3-1, so I came out of the blocks with a win. It did not get better. Number 2, MLS midweek, Revs in Nashville. I picked the Revs. Nashville ended up winning that one, so I did not. 3, Bradford City and Bolton, leg 1 of their promotion playoff. Bradford City and Bolton. Bolton won. Both legs 1-0, by the way, so it didn't matter if you missed the first one. Second one was still the same score. Bolton had a plus 175. They won. Bradford City did not. Bolton advanced, and they're in the promotion playoff final to get into the championship next year. Game number 4 was in the Bundesliga, where we wanted Marie-Louise Eta and FC Union Berlin to beat Augsburg in her last match as interim men's first team head coach. They did 4-0. So it was a plus 170. Yay me, I'm 2-2. Match number 5 was Saturday morning. Yeah, it was Saturday morning Turkish League. And it was Karagümrük and Alanyaspor. I picked Alanyaspor because they were a slight favorite. I picked what did I do? I picked a draw, I think. And so Karagümrük and Alanyaspor. Alanyaspor won at a plus 154. I lost that one. Then it was match number 6. Chile, the Liga de Primera. Limache and Universidad Católica. I picked Limache because they were the home favorite. They lost 2-0. Universidad Católica got the win at a plus 160. Number 7 was in the Primera Nacional in Argentina. Gimnasia y Tiro and San Martin J. Gimnasia G&T got the win 1-0 at a plus 179. I picked the draw. And then the 8th match was MLS last night, Nashville and LAFC. I thought it was going to be a draw. I thought it was going to be wacky and crazy. It was at the end. But Hani Mukhtar had his hat trick before then, so Nashville wins it by the score of 3-2, and I finished at a minus 310. Tiebreaker, by the way, number of MLS goals in a week was 100. I said 93, so I didn't do too bad. That was probably the only thing that I didn't do too bad on was the tiebreaker. So tiebreaker was at 93, and that sets us up for this week. And obviously, since it is the last week before the World Cup break, there's going to be an MLS game in here somewhere. So there was it here? No, it was Odds Portal. That's where I was going. So I wanted to start, and I wanted to go in places that we hadn't been, but that means that we got to start tomorrow. And that means that we're going to Algeria. So tomorrow in Algeria, in Ligue 1 Algeria, it is a 3 o'clock Eastern start. It is USM Alger, who just came out of a $4 million CAF competition, taking on Olympique Akbou. And it's AKBOU. Olympique Akbou and USM Alger. USM Alger plus 179 draws a plus 190. Olympique Akbou is a plus 150. Standings in Ligue 1. Right now, it is Olympique Akbou currently in 5th. And this is match week 29, by the way. Or 28, or if you're USM Alger, because they had a bunch of competitions in the because they had competitions in and around the continent. They are still in, believe it or not, because they have all these matches in hand. They are 6, 12, and 5. They're at 30 points, but they right now are in the second. That they're in the African. They are in the AFC Champions League 2. They're in the second AFC Champions League 2 spot, and they're in 12th. So it is Olympique Akbou at 44 points at 12, 8, and 8. This will be their 29th match. They've lost 3 of 4. Going up against, and they're going to USM Alger, who had a 3-game losing streak snapped with a draw last time out. So this one is just all kinds of appealing. Alger have only given up 19 goals in 23 matches this year, but they've only scored 23. So they're at 30 points. They have as many as 4 or 5 matches in hand going up against Olympique Akbou, and this one is at home. Akbou, in their 29 matches, they've given up 28 matches, they've given up 29 goals. So basically, you have 2 teams averaging about a goal per match, scored and given up. But do you go with the team that is at home that just snapped a 3-game losing streak, Or do you go with the team that is fifth in the standings who has lost 2 in a row and 3 of 4? I say go with neither. I trust neither club right now. So Algeria, League One, tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I'm going draw USM Algiers and Olympique Akbom. So that's just me sitting there going, meh. That's what I think anyway. So now as we continue to tour, oh no, we can't do anything out of Bolivia because that is, and we will do something in the Premier League. We will do something in the Premier League. That's going to be the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker is going to be the Premier League, and it'll be the European places. Outside, I mean, the Europa League and the Conference League spots. I want to know 7, 8. That's what I want to know. I want to know who's going to be in, but we'll get to that. We'll talk about that in a bit. So you have, let me see if there's any place where we haven't been recently. Is there any place where we haven't been recently? We ain't doing that one. We're not doing Ararat Yerevan because that's a plus 1,400. Let's see. We can go. Well, where have we not been recently? See, now Jarrett needs to make the map. He needs to make the map. And so if today is the 18th, so Tuesday 19, Wednesday is the 20th, Thursday is the 21st, Friday is the 22nd, Saturday is the 23rd, and Sunday is the 24th. There we go. Okay, so now I've got them all squared away. And I'm not going to do the Zagreb Derby as much as I might want to. Dinamo Zagreb and Lokomotiv Zagreb are playing on Saturday afternoon at 12:45 our time, but I'm not picking that one. I'm not picking it. I'm not going to do it. So if we go to, is there anyone that is, okay. Well, we could do that one on Sunday as a part of the Sunday grouping. So if we go Sunday, 9 a.m., we'll go here. And so that one will go in there. Yeah, we're doing, okay, that's the one we're doing. That's the one we're doing. Okay. And that's the one where we'll have some education too while we're at it. So we're going to have a match on Sunday morning. Sunday morning at 10 to go with all the other Sunday matchups that we have. It's going to be a very, very busy Sunday. I can feel it. So that one I've got on the board. So that one will be posted in a bit when we talk about it. So, yes, Denmark, we're going to Denmark. We are going to Denmark. I guarantee you we're going to Denmark. So now I need, okay, we could do that. Okay, so we'll go here for this one. So 10 o'clock Friday morning, we'll go here in that league. All right, so I've got that one selected. And as we continue to go down, can we go here? Is there a match that's worth anything, or are all they? No, it was today anyway, so it's not going to help. All right, so I know we're going here. So what is the most competitive one on the board? What is the most competitive one on the board? Oh, this is, yeah, see this one, actually, yeah. All right, so we'll do that. We'll do that one. All right, so we'll do that one. And, all right, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm halfway through. And I know that the OG probably wants something out of Ukraine. So if we go into Ukraine, since we can't, well, they finished, I think they finished their match days, or at least they finished their matches today, and no others are posted. Luhansk and Zhytomyr had a goalless draw, and Kudrivka beat LNZ Cherkasy at a plus 525. So that's a big underdog play in Uzbekistan. So that was good work by them. All right. So can we go? I need a place that's got a bunch of matchups. And these like 1 and 2, they're not really helping out. Okay. So if we go here, then we can get that one to work. And yes, let's do that. And we'll go there and this matchup. Okay, so now I have 3 more to pick, and I know that one of them, at the very least, is going to be Major League Soccer. So we go to the end, and we'll make it easy here. So coming up on match day last before the end of this leg of the season. So 23rd is Saturday. And as I sit here and fish through these, hang on, I'm almost there. Okay, so 9:30. Okay, so that one is all right. So that's the one we'll pick there. So now I have only 2 that I need to pick, and trying to come up with a substitute for Uzbekistan OG is a bit of an issue. Here. So here, maybe. Can we go here? No, because the odds are too crazy. All right, so not going to go there. And for those following along, Montreal's leading 2-0 second period in the in Game 7 in Buffalo. Fans sitting on their hands. People. And tomorrow, actually, yeah, let's go here. All right, so we'll go here for this one, and not the one you think. Okay. And that one. So I need one more from Sunday, and we'll be in good shape. Let me see when the but that's Monday. That's not going to work. So yeah, because I want the numbers in before we go on the air on Monday. Okay, well, but then that's repeating what we did before. So I don't want to do that, repeating a team that we've done before. But actually, let me go one better than there. So if we go here, yikes. No, I'm not going to go there. That's a bad play. Wow. And I'm sitting there and thinking, I'm really smart and that'll be great. But no. And that's not going to happen. All right. So what if we go here? Okay. So Saturday in the park. I swear it was the 4th of July. All right. So let's go here. And yeah, so let's go that one. All right, so we have our picks. As I've sit here and I have gone through a bunch of different options to figure out what we're going to do. And so here's what we're going to do. All right, we got pick number 1. That's the Algerian First Division. That's 3:00 tomorrow afternoon. The second match is going to be tomorrow night. And no, it is not that match. It is the match that starts after it. In Open Cup, St. Louis City at the Pink Park taking on Houston. Dynamo come to town. City is a plus 110. Draws a plus 254. Houston is a plus 204. I'm going 90-minute draw. So I've got back-to-back draws here to start things out. Now, matchup number 3, we're going to Iceland. We're going to Iceland, people. And so in Iceland, their first division is called the Besta Deildkarla. And at 3:15 on Friday afternoon, it is Breiðablik and KR Reykjavik. Breiðablik and KR Reykjavik. Breiðablik at home, plus 150. Draws a plus 295. KR Reykjavik a plus 129 on the road. So your standings in the Besta Deildkarla. KR Reykjavik right now is in second behind Vikingur Reykjavik on goal difference. And they have started their competition. This is match day 8. And they do the dreaded split. So blame Jarrett. KR Reykjavik right now 6-1-0. They have not lost in their first 7. They're at 19 points. KR Reykjavik is going to Breiðablik. Breiðablik is in 4th, 7 points behind. And they kind of hit the skids recently. They've hit each column in their last 3. Lost last time out, drew before that, and had a 2-game win streak before that. So Breiðablik is kind of on the skids a little bit. Lost their last time out, 1 point in their last 2 matches, as KR Reykjavik comes to town at a record of 6-1-0 and behind Vikingur Reykjavik on goal difference. Breiðablik a plus 150, draws a plus 295. KR Reykjavik's a plus 129. I'm going KR Reykjavik. Then, also, but I'll orchestrate them in order later, but I've got the 10 matchups. Now, Egypt, earlier in the day, so obviously it's going to be before it when it posts in the Discord. The relegation group of the Premier League, Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. It is Modern Sport hosting Ghazi El Mahala. And strangely enough, you know how we get into the conversations about how the juice boxers probably just don't know sometimes and they just throw ish up against the wall like spaghetti? The two of the matches at 10 o'clock that morning have the same odds. Plus 175 for Modern Sport, plus 150 to draw, and Ghazi El Mahala is a plus 195. So your standings before we get educated on Modern Sport FC and Ghazi El Mahala in the Egyptian Premier League. This is in the relegation group. 1 through 7 are in the promotion group or the championship group. 8 through 21 are in the relegation group. So Modern Sport, and you have so many teams that have completely and totally just been penalized. And I've got to find out. Well, this is the more important question. Why are all these teams penalized? Literally everybody from 8 to 21 has been penalized by a points deduction. So Ghazi El Mahala is on a 19-point deduction for violating the competition rule. And so they are at 34 points. They won their last match, but now they're on the road at Modern Sport, who is slightly better. Modern Sport had a 23-point deduction, and they're at 2-7-2 and 36 points, unbeaten in their last 3, unbeaten in 4 of 5. So Modern Sport plus 175, draws a plus 150, Ghazi El Mahala is a plus 195. Now let's find out why the Egyptian Premier League has so many clubs with point deductions. And they range in, they range in, get this, from 29 points in a 29-point deduction all the way down to 11. But Zed and Wadi Degla have 29-point deductions. These are all for violating the competition rule, I guess in various stages of success or lack thereof. El Guna at 28-point deduction, National Bank Egypt at 26, Petrojet 25, Modern Sport at 23, El Gaish at 22, Al Ittihad Egypt at 20, Ghazi Al Mahala a 19, Arab Contractors an 18, Haras El Hodud a 17, Karaba'a Ismailia a 16, Farco a 15, and El Ismaili an 11. So why do we have this particular point deduction happening now? This is what we got to find out. So behind closed doors, 2013, partial fans returning. New Egyptian Premier League shield was unveiled in 2023. Current clubs in the league, various and sundry. And Al Ahly, by the way, has won the last 3. Why do we have this point deduction for everybody? Why do we have it? New design for the Premier League trophy. Why do we have this particular issue? Egypt Premier League points deduction. I guess I have to specify what I'm looking for here. So the 25-26 Egyptian Premier League. All right. On the 18th of May last year, they announced the cancellation of relegation for the 24-25 season. 3 teams promoted, increasing the size of the league from 18 to 21. 21 teams, single group, 2 phases. And this is where we are now. We're in that second phase. But since they banned relegation, I don't know why. Oh, they canceled it. They didn't ban it. Okay. So first place team in the championship group is league champ, qualifies for CAF alongside the runner-up. Third place team qualifies for CAF Confederations Cup. 4 teams in the relegation group get relegated to Egyptian Second Division A. So then you had all of them named in last year. And you have regular season results, courtesy of our friends at the Wikipedias. So all of the relegation playoffs and all the things that are going on here. So it's expanded. Or is this a weighted, or did I completely and totally misread this? Did I misread what the 25-26 Egyptian Premier League, I thought it was points penalties. So it's performance points. Okay, so you have performance points that are added in for activity after the 75th minute. So I've completely misread this. So you have points won and lost. Number of points each team has won or lost when comparing the final result of each team's match's 75th minute. So if a team's leading 2-0 in the 89th but had scored the 1-0 with an early goal in the first half, points one column would not include extra points for the match as the team was already winning in the 75th minute. So you get bonus points for when you score and for for how many goals you don't give up on defense. This is crazy. So in the Egyptian Premier League, so the championship round that we're in right now, Okay, so here we go. 21 teams compete for the title. We got into that, we got that, we got that, we got that. That we know. This we know. So, average number of goals, 2.14. Al-Akhli is the title holder. So, you end up with a bunch of tiebreakers and things. So, details. I need details on this. Why do we have competition points? What is going on here? I'm completely and totally confused by what's going on in the Egyptian Premier League and how they come. So I'm guessing it is a performance-based point system. What I thought was a penalty is a performance-based element that's attached. So, okay, so regular season. All right, so second division, number of teams, formats, 2 phases, championship group, relegation. But how do you get your points scored in this league? It's like you have performance points and all these things, but then they don't tell you how you get performance points. So championship playoffs, right? Relegation playoffs, right? Clubs qualified for the phase, full regular season points they got, but without goals for or against. Number of teams by governorate. I don't care about that. This is the strangest thing I've ever seen. So I'm guessing the way that this works is that in the competition rule, the better you're competing and goal difference and things like that. But this is bugging me because I can't find out why. I'm really annoyed now. Oh, Tajikistan, Sunday they're in the neighborhood. Let me look back at this. But this whole thing about this whole thing about the Egyptian Premier League is driving me crazy. That we can't figure out the format. So Belgian Pro, number of matches reduced, league concludes, final format, single group, 2 phases, championship group, relegation group, crown. But where are the performance points? This is what's bugging me here. It's like the performance points is what gets to me. How do you determine the performance points? That's what I'm getting at here. It's like, where are the performance points and how do you get this determined? See, this is bugging me now. I'm really bugged. How do you come up with discipline, cards, major expansions, reforms, no relegations? From our friends at Kingfoot. And Kingfoot's just kind of sitting there going, I'm not interested. I don't want to tell you. So I'm guessing it is a performance point element that is attached to it. And that is why it's like a weighted system. So when you come in for this particular section of the competition, if you come in and you're 8th, you get more competition points and so on and so forth. So I think that's how it is. So after thoroughly confusing me, we may not pick another Egyptian Premier League game again just because they annoy me. It's annoying me. All right, so Modern Sport FC, who is in this matchup of ours, owned by the Egyptian branch of the Coca-Cola Company since their establishment in 2011 until 2021. Coca-Cola's last season under that name, they were Coca-Cola FC, by the way. Modern Future, and Coca-Cola FC. Coca-Cola's last season had their promotion to the Premier League in 21-22. Future Company for Sports Investment announced the acquisition of the club for a reported 80 million Egyptian pounds, so it's like 4 million euro. Renamed the club to Future FC. Finished 5th, qualified for CAF, the Confederations Cup, eliminated in the group stage due to a mistake in the Ahmed Rafa'at registration. Hence, their results ruled forfeited in all matches in which the player participated. Future won the inaugural Egyptian League Cup in 22-23 after a 5-1 win over Ghazi Al Mahala in the final. Officially announced in July 2nd of 24, name changed to Modern Sport FC after receiving approval from all relevant official authorities, sanctioned by the Egyptian Olympic Committee, as published on May 27th of that year. So the former Coca-Cola FC, who plays in a 30,000-seat stadium, founded as Coca-Cola FC in 2011. Mainly Egyptian players. They do have Fayri Okinabiri from England as a forward, Nigerian forward in Godwin Chika, Algerian forward in Adem Rejem, Ahmed Maksud at defense, Mohamed Yusri from Tunisia in defense, Cameroonian Arnold Eba in the midfield. And so that is Modern Sport. That is Modern Sport FC, which used to be Coca-Cola FC in the when they started. Ghazi Al Mahala started back in 1936. Za'im El Falahin, boss of the peasants. And Egypt's Argentina, Argentine El Misir. One of 7 teams to have won the Egyptian Premier League, having won it once in 72-73. Finals of the African Cup of Champions clubs, later known CAF Champions League in 1974. So their glory years were in the 70s. One of the biggest clubs in the history of Egyptian football, founded in 1936 after the establishment of Misr Spinning and Weaving Company in El Mahala El Kubra as an Egyptian national company under the leadership of the patriotic entrepreneur Talat Harb. 1947, the stadium was established. English experts working at the company at that time used to play football with some of the Egyptian workers at the factory, which led to the establishment of the club. And so they're 89 years old, play at Ghazi Al Mahala Stadium, capacity of 14,500. So a lot of achievements in Ghazi Al Mahala's history. Won the Premier League once, runners-up once, runners-up in the Egypt Cup 6 times, last time 2001. Runner-up in the Super Cup once, 2001. Runners-up in the CAF Champions League in 1974. But yeah, so it was literally when you want to talk to folks about weaving as an industry, it was attached to Ghazi Al Mahala when they started back in the 30s. Misr Spinning and Weaving Company in El Mahala El Kubra. So Modern Sport at home against Ghazi Al Mahala. We're going Modern Sport just because they were Coca-Cola FC. So John's going Modern Sport in that one. Okay. Now, the OG had been requesting a couple of leagues. Let me check and see if anybody is playing in them so we can see what's going on. Is Turkey, I think it might be Decision Day in Turkey. Yeah, Tajikistan. Oh, the Turkish Cup. Oh, the Turkish Cup. That's right. That's why I didn't pick Turkey. Was because it's Trabzonspor and Konyaspor in the playoffs on Friday, and the numbers were screwy. That was why. Trabzonspor is a massive favorite on Turkish Cup Friday. That was why. So if we go to Tajikistan, and let me check and see if there's anything going on in Tajikistan, by the way, because I do have other countries picked. Tajikistan Higher League, which is where I guess we would be going. Tajikistan's Higher League, and these would obviously be plus 100s. They seem to be in the beginning of their Clausura. So we do have stuff going on Friday. 6 matchups on Friday. And let's see. Let's go there. Okay. But that's the 27th. That's next week. I can't do that one. So if we go, yeah, we can go there. This would be on Friday, by the way. Okay, yeah, let's do. All right. So Friday or Sunday. Sunday. Let's go Sunday here. All right. So this will be down the line, but we're going to go into the Tajikistan Higher League. We're going to do that on Sunday. And 9:00 in the morning on Sunday. So since we're here before everything craps out, FC Kujand and Vaksh. FC Kujand and Vaksh, Vakshs. So Vakhsh. FC Kujand is 3-3-3. So out of the blocks after match week 9, and Vaksh is at 3-3-3, but they've scored more goals. So it is a battle of 5th versus 6th in the Klausura in Tajikistan. So everything's basically plus 100. And in the head-to-head with Kujan and Vaksh, so it is literally about as dead even as it gets. Last 10, 4 wins each side, 2 draws. So that helps no one in round number 10. Vaksh, actually, the last match these two teams played, June 23rd of last year, Vaksh finished with 9, but they won 2-1. Last match at Kujan, Vaksh won 2-1 as well. So Vaksh has won the last 3 in the competition to even things back up to where they are right now. So Vaksh played with 9 last time, won 2-1. Then Kujan played with 10, Vaksh won, and then Vaksh won before that. So Vaksh has won 3 in a row to get to 4 wins each side and 2 draws in the last 10. Battle of 5th versus 6th. And this one is, no, I don't want round 9 because I was in round 10. So this one, this go-round is at FC Kujand and at 9:00 in the morning at 5 versus 6. So literally the team that has the same number of points but has scored less goals, and it is the team that is trying to reverse the spin for Vaksh. Vaksh has drawn their last 2. FC Kujand has snapped a 3-game losing streak with a win last time out. And since it's at Kujand, we're going to go FC Kujand. FC Kujand. Everything's at plus 100. Sunday, 9 a.m. Okay. Saturday at 9:30. Major League Soccer, Portland, San Jose. One of the more intriguing matchups on the board. Once again, just so you, just for the record, so you know, Friday is going to be a show of chaos in Major League Soccer. So a lot of the voices from Apple TV because it's the last Friday before the World Cup break. So our friends at Major League Soccer, they're going to try and throw as many names at us as possible on Friday. So at 9:30 Saturday night, Portland and San Jose. Portland a plus 145. Draws a plus 300. San Jose's a plus 150. I'm going San Jose. San Jose for me. So then Saturday at 11:30, along those lines in the morning, I think it's decision day in the Polish League, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody starts at 11:30 on Saturday morning. So the matchup that we chose at 11:30 is Pogoń Szczecin and GKS Katowice. Pogoń Szczecin and GKS Katowice. Pogoń Szczecin is a plus 170, draws a plus 260. GKS Katowice is a plus 140. So when you look at the standings, Pogoń Szczecin is 10th at 44 points. They've won 2 of 3. They're at home hosting Katowice, who is unbeaten in 5, drawn their last 2, 49 points, 5 points ahead of Pogon Chezin heading into the last match day. Katowice needs to better Zaglebie, who's in 6th, to keep the Europa Conference League spot that is the second one there. Lech Poznan clear. They're going to win the division. They're going to win the league, and they're going to go into Champions League. Gornik Zabrze, who is recently getting new ownership, and Jagiellonia Bialystok are both at 53 points. Jagiellonia has one less win. That's the first tiebreaker. Rakov Czestochowa is at 52 points in 4th. GKS Katowice, 49 points in 5th. So this means a lot to GKS Katowice on the road. Zaglebie is a point behind at 48, and they've hit one column each in their last 3. Legia Warsaw has stormed up the table. They're at 46 points. They've won 3 in a row, 4 of 5. They're in 7th. They have an outside chance, but they would have to really get some work done. They can finish at 48. Actually, they can't get into Conference League. So it's just for bucket full of pride for Legia Warsaw. Actually, no. But if they have 49 points, they lose out on the tiebreaker to Katowice. So GKS Katowice needs this one. They need a result to stay in the Conference League spot. Pogon Chezin, basically bucket full of pride. They want to climb the table and make it difficult for Katowice as an underdog at home. I don't think much happens here. I'm going to go draw to plus 260. I think at Pogon Chezin makes it as difficult as humanly possible for them. So that leaves us with one spot. And I'm seriously debating this last one because I'm down. What was I going to do? Wait, I thought we did hang on. Yeah, so we got our Tajikistan matchup. We haven't been to Tajikistan either, OG, so that was why. I agreed with you because we've never been there. So, okay, so we got one match left, and I'm torn. I admit that I'm torn because of the gravity of the match versus picking something that would be just, a place that we've never been. Well, not been recently. So, tell you what, let's go gravity. And it is Sunday, 11 o'clock, Premier League. Premier League at 11 o'clock. So we'll go over the situation one more time at the bottom. It's the West Ham Leeds match. West Ham favored at a plus 114. Draws a plus 280. Leeds plus 200. Leeds, don't really care. West Ham needs a win to at least push Spurs into a result against Everton. Unless they get a result tomorrow, then all this is moot. And we will have committed to a game that means absolutely nothing. So West Ham and Leeds. West Ham plus 114, Leeds plus 280, Leeds plus 200. I'm going to go Leeds here. I'm going to go West Ham here, sorry, because I want chaos. I'm also rooting for Chelsea tomorrow. So we have that kind of chaos. I've talked to Spurs fans, and they want nothing to do with this. They're like, we're done. You can go ahead, and it's like, we're out. So just go ahead and get relegated, blow it all up, start over, and then we won't have to worry about it anymore. Buffalo's now 2-1. They got a goal. The place is getting loud. 3:40 to go, second period. Game 7, snug. So here are tiebreaker. And the tiebreaker is also a Premier League tiebreaker. I need to know from you Order of finish, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8 is your tiebreaker in the Premier League. So you will have Bournemouth at a certain number, probably 55. Brighton at 53, Brentford 52, Sunderland at 51, and then you got folks at 49, because if Chelsea wins tomorrow, they will be at 52, and they will be in 8th with a better goal difference than Brentford. Brentford will be at 52, 3 behind in goal difference, and then that gets you to the last match day and all the chaos. So I need to know 6, 7, and 8 in the Premier League. I need to know 6, 7, and 8. So that is the tiebreaker for this week. All right, so to recap everything before we get out of here, because we got a Game 7 to watch over there, snug. Nothing better than a Game 7. If you're not a hockey person, tonight doesn't matter. It's on ESPN. Montreal in Buffalo. Buffalo, first time in the playoffs in, I think, 15 years. Made it through the first round, playing in the second. Game 7, winner of this goes to the conference finals. It's in Buffalo. They're nuts. Place is bananas. It's a great environment. You don't have to be a fan of the sport. I would go recommend to watch it. So once again, here's your notes. And I'll type this in and probably forget the first matchup. So here are your matchups. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Algeria First Division. USM Algiers and Olympique Akbou. I have a draw on that one. Open Cup tomorrow night, St. Louis and Houston. St. Louis City and Houston, I've got 90-minute draw. Third matchup is the Egypt relegation group because of 10 o'clock start. So Egypt relegation group in the Premier League, Modern Sport, otherwise known as Coca-Cola FC. And I think that since we're here, you kind of have to go for Coca-Cola FC anyway. Against Ghazi Al-Mahala. The former Coca-Cola FC, I have selected them. Friday at 3:15 in the afternoon, Iceland, Besta Dildkarla, Breiðablik and KR Reykjavik. KR Reykjavik second in the standings behind Vikinga Reykjavik. So that's where we're going there. We're going with KR Reykjavik in that one. Number 5 is the Polish League. Everybody dialing it up at 11:30 on Saturday morning. You can get that at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Pogoń Szczecin, GKS Katowice. GKS Katowice needs a 90-minute kickabout to keep their spot, I think. And I think that's what's going to happen. Pogoń Szczecin, bucket full of pride. Playing at home. Then number 6 on Saturday is the matchup. West Coast, Portland, San Jose. I've got San Jose. That's 6. 7, Sunday morning, Tajikistan in their number 1 league, FC Kujan and Vaksh. Since we don't have odds, they're all plus 100s across the board. I picked FC Kujan because they've won the last 3 in the series. Then the last one is West Ham and Leeds for chaos on the final day of the Premier League season. West Ham plus 114, Leeds plus 200, draws a plus 280. I want chaos. I picked West Ham. So your tiebreaker, European places, Europa League, Europa Conference League, Premier League, 6, 7, and 8. I've got Bournemouth, Brighton, Chelsea. Sorry, Marcel. So that's what I'm looking at there. So that is the rundown. It is Algeria, Open Cup, Egypt, Iceland, Poland, MLS, Tajikistan, Premier League, tiebreaker Premier League. So that's where we are. Tomorrow morning on the morning show, we start our look at the high school championships. And it is catching up with as many of the championship coaches as possible live on the air. We are going to be taping some throughout the day, and it'll be an opportunity for us to catch up with them as they catch their breath for a minute and a half. Jose Rodriguez, Matt from Meadow Creek, Matt Chiefs from Dalton, Robert Peterson from Thomasville, Kelly Bowler from Johns Creek, Justin Brantley from Islands, Marcia Thompson from Tryon, and we are going added time tomorrow because we're going long. And if KCD is with us, we will catch up with Casey White. We are taping some things with Mike Gramajo, and we're also catching up with Lucas Kimmel in Thomasville for play later. So we have all of those interviews that are going to be working their way through everything, and it's an opportunity for us to catch up with the championship coaches and thank them for everything this season that we've seen when it comes to high school game, and we'll keep an eye on everything else that is attached to all the games going on. Atlanta United, obviously, tomorrow night in Orlando, Open Cup. Winner of that one heads to the semifinals in the Open Cup. You right now are 3 wins away from being in CONCACAF next year. So we'll get into all of that tomorrow morning, and it'll be a blast to catch up with them and a blast to see all of you. And as always, OG and D. Graham, thank you for the heads ups with all the things. So I'm going to put these in the Discord at some point. I'm sure I'll forget. But those are going in the Discord. So picks of the week, once again, remember, the week leading into the World Cup is the end of stage 1. That's stage 1. World Cup, week 1, stage 2, the rest of the year, probably finding a point after MLS Cup to determine campeón de campeones and a table and such like that before we go into 2027. So that's going to be the rundown. Off the top of my head, I really don't know how SOT is going to be looked at during the World Cup tournament. It's going to be kind of tough. So we may just do picks of the week independently, post them in the Discord to keep that moving because of all of our live demands and all the programming that we're going to be doing during the World Cup. SOT might be just written and virtual and all of that and in the Discord. We'll keep you posted. That is another go-round of Soccer Over There. And so, as always, thanks for hanging out with us. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning for SDH AM. High schools, MLS, getting you ready for Open Cup, all the things. So for all of us here, to all of you there, thanks, as always, for hanging out with us as you always do. Since it's the end of the show, it means I get to do this. See you in a bit.